All right. So we're going to first start with flowchart of psychology. I'll zoom in. Sorry, this is like a new Elmo for me, so like it's overwhelming. Well, yeah. Of psychology's perspectives. All right, here we go. So, if we're going to start a flowchart, where do we have to start, ladies and gentlemen? You're right. We're going to start at the top. You're right. But what perspective are we starting with?
Psychology.
Which one?
Psychology.
What
Right there.
perspective are we starting with? Structuralism. Oh my God, this is going to be rough. So the first one is called structuralism. Now, structuralism is founded by who? There you go. Founded by Wilhelm Wundt. What country is he from?
Germany.
There we go. All right. Now, the major tool is what? What's his major tool?
Introspection.
There you go, introspection. And that is analyzing your own thoughts. So you're thinking about your own thinking. How exciting, right? And then your major people is going to be, who is his first big follower? Nope. No, that's going to be functionalism. Huh? Titchener. It's a cool name to say. Say, Titchener. It's a cool name to say. Titchener is from what country? U.S. And he's the first student. However, he is going to teach the first female PhD, and her name is Margaret Washburn. Every
What
year.
does that say?
Yeah, after you.
Whoa, judgy.
No. Oh,
First
that
PhD.
is your number.
Oh, what is the word after your? Analyzing your
Thinking.
thinking.
Yeah, sorry. Welcome to my handwriting. You'll get it. All right, so when we talk about structuralism, you need to know your major tool is introspection. Major people are to Titchener. Now, I happen to have a highlighter. If you don't have one, it's not a big deal, but I'm just going to pull out the big things you should know about each one to make your test on Wednesday a little bit easier. You need to know Wundt. You need to know your introspection. You need to know Titchener and Margaret Washburn. Now, this one is a very dense one because it's the first one. As we get going, I won't have everything highlighted or make it look like everything's highlighted. Is that fair? So, structuralism is going to be your first major thing of psychology, and it's going to be pretty successful for a while. However, the second one is going to pop up. And what is the name of the second type of perspective? Functionalism. So, structuralism happens first, then we have a thing called functionalism. Now, it is founded by William James. With a name like William James, where do you think he comes from?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, it's founded by William James, and it focuses on how the mind works, and how it allows people to adapt, live, work, and play. Based mostly on brain components, and structures. Okay, it's physiological. Okay, so your second branch is functionalism, and it's founded by William James. He's the big name that you need to know. Okay, now, when we talk about structuralism is just getting everything started. Okay, and it's successful. Once functionalism starts, people are like, yeah, this is actually what we care about. I don't want to sit around and think about thinking. I want to know how, why, what. And after William James starts functionalism, it explodes in popularity. Once it gets started, everything else comes out of functionalism. Functionalism is the foundation of psychology. Structuralism starts it. Functionalism is where everything stems from. No one really cares about where in the brain it's located except for a connection to something else. We want to know how it works, why it works. Okay, so everything comes back to functionalism. So we have multiple types of branches that come out of functionalism. One of the hardest ones is called Gestalt. Gestalt. Psychology. We're going to take a little arrow. We're going to draw a line straight to it. So it goes structuralism first, then it goes to functionalism, and functionalism is going to have 8 things that jump out of it. Okay? So Gestalt psychology is looking...
Should we write number 3?
No, because it's a weird thing. Once I have the whole thing, I'll explain how it all goes. Is looking at the whole rather than the individual parts. It's based on sensation and perception. And it's founded by Max Wertheimer. Now, with a name like Wertheimer, where do you think he's from? And a name like Gestalt, where country do you think he's from? Germany. And this is all about looking at visual illusions. Have you ever seen the visual illusion where if you look at the picture one way, it looks like an old lady? And then you look at it a different way, and it's a young lady? Yes? Okay. That's a perfect example of Gestalt psychology. If you look at the whole one way, it looks one way. If we look at another, we only talk about it for sensation and perception, thank God. It's not one of my favorites. All right, your next one is called psychoanalysis. Now, you know, because we've talked about it, psychoanalysis was created by who? Freud, absolutely. So we're going to draw an arrow here. So it's based on Sigmund Freud. Freud's work on the subconscious. They believe your conscious directs your thoughts and actions. Major tool, psychoanalysis. Okay, so first we have structuralism. Structuralism gives birth to functionalism after William James creates it. Functionalism is then going to create Gestalt psychology, psychoanalysis, which is of course done by Freud. Psychoanalysis is his big tool. And then the third one is going to be behaviorism. Now remember, as we've kind of discussed, behaviorism is purely scientific. Now, it's based on John B. Watson's research. They only study and measure behavior. No thinking. Okay, so your major tools. experiments. Major people. It's going to be B.F. Skinner and Ivan Pavlov. Okay, so based on John B. Watson, they're going to use experiments, and you really need to know Pavlov. It's a big deal. B.F. Skinner we'll get to. All right, so starts with structuralism, goes to functionalism. Out of functionalism, we get to salt psychology, psychoanalysis, and behaviorism. Okay? Out of those, we go into what we consider the modern perspectives. So we're going to write down here modern perspectives. All of these are now going to still come out of functionalism. Okay? But we just happen to call them the modern perspectives. All of these are typically coming out of a mixture of behaviorism. Okay, so your first one of your modern perspectives is going to be psychodynamic. Now, psychodynamic sounds very similar to which one? Psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis comes first, psychodynamic comes second. It uses Freud's psychoanalysis as a base, but also explores physiological and non-Freudian methods. So this includes other people who aren't Freud. Okay? Psychoanalysis is only Freud. It's 100% Freud all the time. Only Freud. Psychodynamic is found, about 70% of psychodynamic is Freud, with 30-40% of other people. So your major people, we call them Neo-Freudians. Neo means what? New Freudians. And your biggest one is going to be Carl Jung. Okay, he used to be Freud's best friend, but, they broke up. It's really tragic. They wrote beautiful letters to each other. Best friends, then no longer. So, today we still have the behavioral, and under your modern perspective, looks heavily on behavior. And wants to justify it by providing reasons why. So what is the difference between the modern perspective of behavioralism versus the traditional behaviorism? Who can tell me what's the difference between behaviorism up here and the modern perspective of behavioralism? McKinnon.
The old one, behaviorism, is really just looking at your reactions and experimenting. Like they were doing the baby crying, so they'd show the rat and the baby would cry. But behavioral is actually trying to figure out why.
Yes, they're asking a lot more of thinking internal justifications as well. Okay, most of it's behavior, but then they're trying to figure out the justifications. In the modern perspective, in the traditional perspective, not the case. Then you have the humanistic perspective. Okay, they believe that humans have unlimited potential and are separated from their animal past. Is this a positive look or a negative look on humans?
Positive.
Very positive. Okay, your major people? Abraham Maslow. You'll love him. He's got like 8 different sections to him. You'll have to memorize. And Carl Rogers, he's only got 14, so that's good. And you will need to know them all. All right, so those are your 2 big ones here. All right. So next one, I'm just going to write it underneath, is going to be evolutionary. Okay, based on who? Based on Darwin. Darwin's evolution. They believe that today's humans are not that different than their animal heritage. Okay, is this positive or negative?
Negative.
It's pretty negative. I mean, I think I'm a little more capable than thinking of food, sex, and water every day. Okay, so evolutionary, it's negative. Obviously, you're a big person. I am going to highlight Darwin. He's a big deal. You need to know him. Obviously, you've heard about him in so many classes at this point. All right. Your next one is going to be bio. I'm going to write it real small. Biopsychological. Okay, and this believes that human behavior can be entirely explained by their biological chemistry. Okay, so everything we do is completely decided upon by our biological chemicals. So, according to biopsychological, the reason why I fell in love with my husband is not because he's really cute, which he is, by the way, is because when I met him, I had, for some reason, an explosion of serotonin released in my brain. So when I saw him for the first time, I was like, damn, my serotonin's off the charts. I think I like this feeling, so I must like this guy. Here we are. Do you think things are that easy? Why I ran off and got married to him 6 years after I met him because of serotonin in my brain the first time I met him? Okay, but that's what it believes. Yes, Lauren?
What does it say after
Can be entirely explained by their biological chemistry. So then you have socio-cultural. That's an I right there. Looks at both social and cultural components. They study how one influences the other. Okay? So, using my husband and falling in love with my husband as my example, but a social cultural would look at the similarities me and my husband have and say, well, the reason you guys got married is not only because he's cute, but you have similar belief in family, similar ideas on religion, similar ideas on rearing children, similar ideas on this, and that makes you very compatible. And then your final one, are we excited that this is the last one we're squeezing in here, is cognitive. And cognitive looks at the understanding of thought patterns and progressions of memories. They are all about mental processes. Your major people are going to be Jean Piaget, who is one of my favorites. He's this cute little Frenchman. He rides around on a bike with a baguette. So stinking cute. And then Noam Chomsky. And Chomsky is all about your language theories. All right, I would transfer a lot of this onto your study guide. The information's right there for you. I finished. I hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to highlight Jean Piaget, my little French guy, for you. All right, I would transfer some of this onto your study guide tonight. Tomorrow I am doing a lecture in class with whiteboards. Tomorrow your outline is due. Hopefully you got it done this weekend, so life is better. I would definitely start transferring information. Have a great day, guys.
Can you zoom out?
You are more than welcome. I also posted online.
Oh, really?
I'm going to post my video online that I just made.